Aloha once again, friends and family. Let us pick it up at twin flame souls. Most souls emerge from the oversoul in pairs. Normally, there are 6 pairs of souls that divide from the oversoul. There is a program in place discussed previously by this channel whereby 6 of the soul divisions of an oversoul come into an earthly embodiment while 6 of them remain in the higher dimensions. The 6 that are in the higher dimensions will be guiding the 6 that are in the lower dimensions, helping them move through the lower worlds in order to ascend into higher ones. This is the form taken most often as souls come into these lower worlds. When 2 souls come directly out of the Godhead or through one or more of the oversoul levels 8 through 11 at the same time and on the same ray, they are called twin souls or twin flames. A part of these twin souls remain connected to their 8th density oversoul. The twins move into 7th density, sharing a higher density lineage of emergence. This is the most common way that souls emerge from the Godhead. When twin flames are in existence as individual souls, one of them almost always goes to the lower densities alone in order that the higher density one may be a lifeline to the lower density one, because if they were to both go into the lower densities together, it might be difficult for them to break out of those lower densities and return to the higher ones. This has been a problem in the past on Earth and other planets where souls have fragmented into outer levels or dimensions. The pairs that have come into the lower worlds at the same time have often been unable to pull each other out of the quicksand. It is like 2 close friends jumping into the quicksand together and both sinking together. If one jumps in and the other stays on shore and holds a rope, there is a good chance that the soul in the quicksand will be able to get out. But if you both jump in, it is difficult. Now you might say, why wouldn't there be some other spirit guides for these souls? And indeed there are. All souls have multiple spirit guides and multiple levels of guidance. But it is far easier for the twin flame of an earthly soul to be guiding from the higher realms than it is for another soul to be guiding. There is a natural pull of attraction between twin souls. A question has arisen as to whether or not there can be more than one twin soul for an incarnated soul, and the answer is yes and no. There is only one parent piece that is twin to the parent piece of an incarnated soul. But because souls can fragment any number of times, it is possible that one or both parent pieces of a twin soul pair can go through additional fragmentation, in which case there can be multiple pieces of the pair either in the astral or etheric realms or in embodiment on Earth. This channel has encountered a number of clients that are positively certain they have met their twin on the earth, and in rare cases they are correct in that both the client and twin are parent fragments on the earth at the same time. However, more likely what is taking place is as follows. 1. A soul family member connection that feels very strong is mistaken for a twin flame connection. Or 2, the client is having an encounter with a fragment of the twin flame parent that has further fragmented and is now in embodiment upon the earth in multiple pieces. Theoretically, there could be 6 fragments of a twin flame on earth and 6 in the heavens, all connected to the parent piece of the twin soul. Extended soul families. We have been talking about the process of soul division, fragmentation, and integration. Let us also discuss briefly the process of relationship bonding. You have what are often called soulmates. Soulmates are actually parallel souls, souls that have a similar path of evolution, and when such souls do not belong to the same parent soul, they are simply known as soulmates. They feel naturally very close to one another, but when such relationships involve souls who are primary fragments of the same parent, you have what are called soul family members. Soul family members can extend out several levels deep. Let us explain. If a soul family member was one of the original 12 that came out of the same oversoul, you have what is called a primary soul family member. When these meet in the earth plane, you have one of the rare relationships that we were talking about earlier. If you happen to meet one of the 6 primary soul family members incarnate on earth, you may feel an instant kinship with that soul. You may feel a soulmate type of connection between the two of you, but in most cases it will be a very difficult relationship because you have usually come in for very different reasons and your experiences are very different, even though inwardly you are very similar. As we mentioned earlier, it is often very difficult for such souls to reconcile their differences, even though they come from the same oversoul. Such souls often come in with what you call a soul contract, which in this case is an agreement to experience entirely different realities while they are on earth. It is far more common for you to meet and bond with souls from your extended soul family. These souls that came out of the same original 9th density master oversoul, or the oversoul of your oversoul. In other words, there are 12 divisions that came out of your 9th level master oversoul. Those 12 beings became your 8th level oversouls, who in turn each gave birth to 12 individual 7th density souls. So now you have 144 souls that all belong to your 9th level master oversoul. It is much more common for you to meet members of that extended soul family of 144. Usually there are approximately 72 of you on the earth at one time and 72 of you in the higher realms assisting. Many of the soulmate relationships on earth are between extended soul family members. Now, in many circumstances, you can go 3 levels deep in the oversoul division process. Those 144 souls can each give birth to 12 additional souls from the astral or etheric planes through fragmenting and incarnating, not directly through biological birth. Now you have 1,728 individual souls. So there are instances where the souls that are coming in are 3 levels removed from the original soul cluster, and other times where they are only 2 levels removed. We know these are hard concepts to grasp, but we are limited by your language. If you think of the Godhead as the continuous field of energy, it might be easier. Let's call the Godhead a vat of wine and 12th density universal God selves a mashed up barrel of wine grapes, and the 11th density individual God selves a large large cluster of grapes. We can then go on to call the 10th level Christian or Buddhism selves individual grape clusters on the larger vine, and the 9th level monadic or master oversoul selves a smaller cluster, etc. There are more and more clusters as you go down the scale, but each cluster has a smaller number of grapes. Different souls have different levels of division involved in their soul tree, if you want to call it that. It is a good expression, similar to your genealogical tree. Let us take an example of an ascended master being and look at her soul tree. We will examine the soul lineage of the entity known as Isis. Isis is currently manifesting as an 8th density Syrian. She is the high priestess of the Order of Isis, an ancient Egyptian mystery school that existed on Earth over 8,000 years ago. Isis has been guiding Earth souls from the higher planes for thousands of years. Some of her 7th density soul divisions incarnated into the dynasties of the pharaohs of later Egypt. The entity Isis, although currently vibrating in what you call 8th density, has divided twice, and so there are 144 pieces of Isis, including 72 of them on the earth and 72 that are not on the earth. So you could be one of 72 divisions of the entity Isis. If that is the case, then as you return on your evolutionary spiral into the higher densities of your own being, you will eventually come into contact with some of the other divisions of Isis. However, you will only reunite with the fragments of your being that are incomplete pieces in the lower densities. Sovereign souls do not dissolve into one another. That is an erroneous teaching. They will not cease to be, and you will not cease to be as you go up through the spiral of evolution. When you are a parent soul, which is a sovereign being at level 7, the fragments that are underneath you eventually get integrated back into your parent soul. But when we are talking about levels 8 through 12, we are not talking about pieces, but rather soul divisions. We are always talking about sovereign souls whenever we are discussing level 7 and above, and therefore all of the 144 sovereign souls of Isis will continue to be sovereign souls even when they return to 7th and 8th densities. 8th density is a clustered level. Souls experience life as clusters of souls at that level, but they do not merge back into one another and lose their identity. They will continue to have a solid, unique identity. It is as if there is only one entity, with little souls contained within that are all part of the one, but who still have discrete boundaries around each one. This is the closest we can come to an accurate description. So as you move into your 7th and 8th density awareness, you will become equal to the original Isis energy in terms of vibration, but you will be a sovereign soul that is not the same as the original Isis soul. It is just like when you give birth to a child and the child grows up to be an adult. That adult will be equal to you in many ways, but will not merge back into you. You can still interact with Isis at every step of the ascension process, just as your child can interact with you after he or she has grown up into adulthood. Now, many of the souls that are in 8th density will evolve into 9th density, and so it is very possible that when you reach 8th density, the original soul known as Isis will be in 9th or 10th density and will be functioning as a soul cluster in one of those levels. We realize these concepts are difficult. They are difficult for this channel. This channel can see images of what we are transmitting, but to put them into words that make sense to you is very difficult. More on soul fragments. We will talk briefly about what happens when there are traumatic separations during previous lifetimes between souls. We are referring to energy that was left in a previous incarnation. There are many of you who have been in different incarnations on Earth over a long period of time wherein you left pieces of yourself in those incarnations. These discarnate pieces are disconnected from the rest of your parent soul, and when you go between embodiments, you often choose in your next incarnation a situation that will allow you to attempt recovery of those pieces of yourself. These pieces may have been left on Earth during a previous lifetime, or on another planet, or even another dimension below 7th. Conversely, there are what you call energetic imprints or implants, which represent energies you picked up during previous incarnations. You can carry these implants or imprints in your etheric body from one lifetime to another. In your present etheric body, you can have one or more soul fragments, thought forms, or crystallized energy patterns imprinted or implanted in your energy field. These patterns tend to take place during traumatic events, which are recorded in the Akashic records as soul experience. You can evolve through several lifetimes while pieces of yourselves are stuck behind in an astral realm. When you say a house is haunted, or that a place has a certain energy to it, often what you are picking up on are the soul fragments that are still inhabiting that particular place that may belong to any number of souls that used to be there. This is particularly true when a soul dies traumatically, such as in a building fire. Fragments of that soul may become trapped in the building itself, and when the building is remodeled, the soul fragments may still be wandering among the remodeled building because they have lost sight of their parent souls. That is why it is important, if you are in a haunted building, to send the lost soul fragments to the light that are still in the building. Many of them will go if they are sent lovingly, and sometimes, due to free will and the severity of the fragmentation, they may not go to the light. Free will, as you know, is a difficult thing. All souls in creation have curiosity, a desire to explore, to be adventurous, and sometimes souls get themselves into a great deal of trouble as a result of being so curious. It often becomes difficult for them to extricate themselves from a situation where they are energetically trapped, be it a place or person. We could write volumes on the subject of soul integration and fragmentation, but it is time to move on. We are going to explore the ascension process and the changes to your DNA as you move into the next phase of your evolutionary journey. Chapter 6, the Ascension and Human DNA, an overview of Ascension. We are going to move into the subject of DNA and genetics. But first we will explore the topic of Ascension, because Ascension is the work that is paramount at this time for most of you that are reading this. Most of you who are attracted to our teachings and the teachings of the Arcturians, Leah, and this channel are, in fact, already deciding that you will move into the path of Ascension. You are beginning to build the fifth density light body. So it is simply a matter of how to do this in the most comfortable and efficient way. You need to realize that you can live an optimal life on Earth. This means continually recognizing that all of life is unfolding according to divine plan. For most of you, Ascension is part of your optimal path. Ascension, defined, is the transition from a third to a fourth density physical form, and then from a fourth density physical form to a fifth density etheric light body. If you were an outside observer and witnessed a soul ascending from third density up to fifth, you would observe something similar to the following. The first thing you would notice in ascending third density humans is that they would start to become aware that they are the creators of their individual life experience. They are experiencers or watchers of the drama of their lives, and their state of consciousness is reflected in their experience of life. They become metaphysicians to some degree. They become conscious creators. They learn to realize they are shaping their own reality. They consciously create the events and situations in their lives. They go through their lives realizing they are at the control panel or control center of their earthly experience. They know they have a free will and are learning how to use their free will. They are learning about karma, what it is, how it works, and how to balance it. And they are understanding their various soul contracts, the purpose of their incarnations, and purpose in life. At that stage, they have become fourth density humans. They will continue to purify and cleanse their physical vehicles and learn to align their 6 lower bodies as delineated in the teachings of this channel and the spirit guide Leah, and they will learn to heal their past lifetimes and their entire lifetimes. Eventually, as they move forward on the path, their physical bodies will become transmuted and transformed into what is known as the silicon or crystal body of light. If you observe a soul moving from fourth into fifth density, at first you will notice that this soul becomes psychologically invisible to those who are living in lower third density vibrations, which means that you could conceivably walk in a dangerous part of your cities late at night, even if you are in a female body, and those who would normally wish to do harm to you will see you optically. You will register in their optic nerve, but they will have no psychological reference point for you. So at the very least, someone who might be a rapist or murderer might see you walk by and realize that a human being has just walked by, and then follow it up no further than that. It is called psychological invisibility. You are unlike each other, and so the law of attraction keeps you apart. Many of you have wanted to become psychologically invisible to your government and authority figures, and to some degree you have succeeded, living in almost a parallel reality or parallel world. You are living a very different life from most of the people around you. Perhaps you are no longer psychologically tuned into what is called mass hypnotism of your world, or the matrix. The psychological changes as humans move into ascension. An example of how your psychology changes as you ascend is as follows. When many of you realize that the path of materialism is not serving you on your soul path, you decide to use material things only to assist you in your service work, to facilitate reaching people, to help them awaken. And you completely move out of the pop culture phenomenon known as the one with the most toys wins. You do not worry about what kind of shampoo you use on your hair or what brand of designer clothes you wear on your body, or those sorts of things, and you could care less about what happens on the latest reality TV show. These things become irrelevant and insignificant in your life. You begin relating mostly to other people that are on your level or a similar state of consciousness. As stated previously, many of you have been learning how to make yourselves psychologically invisible to those who would do you harm, whether they be negative ETs or people in the government who wish to control and enslave you. As you continue to transcend 3D values and limitations, you find yourselves feeling completely free within and able to go where you desire on the planet with little or no interference from those who would like to stop you. The next step after psychological invisibility is actual physical invisibility to those who are in third density. This is what the Christians have referred to as the rapture. It is not a sudden event where people disappear in a puff of smoke and their clothes fall away from their bodies. Rather, it is a situation wherein you become more and more translucent and filled with light until your body essentially dissolves into pure light. You may at times appear to those who can see you as a glowing, radiant person, much as in the depictions of the saints in your Renaissance paintings with halos around their heads. Eventually, the light will not be visible to the eyes of those in third density. There may be a relatively brief transitional period where those in third density will become aware that there is some sort of light being, some sort of visitation, and because of their limited consciousness, they will attribute it to a visit from a guardian angel. They may say, I just had a visitation from an angel today, and in reality, it was one of you in a vibration of about 4.8 in this physical form. We are using the density scale delineated earlier by this channel. When you reach the vibration of what you call 5.0, you become completely invisible to those who are vibrating below 3.5. There is about a 1.5 level optical spectrum in most densities, meaning that you can see and interact with souls who are up to 1.5 levels above or below you. If the difference is wider than that, it becomes very difficult to interact directly with other souls, and that is why we in the higher realms must step our vibration down several times in order to communicate with you. If we wanted to be seen optically by you, we would have to step our vibration down into lower fifth density, which would be very difficult for us to do. A further discussion of the ascension process. Let us continue our discussion of your ascension process with a brief review. When a soul comes out of the Godhead and decides to explore and experience the outer realms of creation, that soul has the option of coming all the way down to first density and working its way back up through the density levels, or it can start its incarnational process in the second, third, fourth, or fifth densities. In your case, you made the choice to come into third density and work your way back up from there so that you can explore these levels a little at a time to gain the maximum amount of experience needed in order to satisfy your soul's curiosity. Now you may ask, what is your soul's curiosity? It is the aspect of the Godhead that wishes to know about its own creation. And so as you evolve back up the evolutionary spiral, what you call the growth process, you will come to a point where your physical form goes through a metamorphosis and your carbon-based dense matter body becomes a silicon-based crystal light body. This is the process known as ascension. However, due to the fall from grace, the soul's identification with the level of vibration into which it incarnated, it was necessary for the Godhead to devise a plan to allow souls more time to learn their lessons and get back onto the spiral of evolution, and so the wheel of reincarnation was created. This allows an aspect of the soul to re-densify itself into the physical form as many times as necessary in order to learn everything the soul desires to learn about that particular density level. We are repeating our earlier teaching to make sure you are clear on this point before we continue. More on the wheel of reincarnation. In your case, you have incarnated repeatedly into what you call third density. Many of you have reincarnated a great number of times into this Earth or similar planets and have exited each time through the death of the body, which is a process of fragmenting into soul pieces. Although the physical body returns to the Earth and disintegrates, the soul essence within the body leaves as energy packets, and these attempt to reattach to the parent soul. If the soul is relatively aware of itself, this piece or set of pieces are able to reunite with the parent part relatively easily. These soul pieces are often seen by clairvoyants as wisps of smoke leaving the body at the time of its death and ascending up into the heavens. Those of you who are able to see this know that these fragments can also appear as a cloudy apparition or smoky outline of the person, or just a wispy set of filaments. This is actually depicted fairly accurately in some of your movies and has even been captured on high-speed cameras on occasion. Spiritual ascension. If the lifetime just completed involves a lot of spiritual awareness, the soul essence leaving the body goes directly to the parent part of the soul in the celestial realms, dimensions 7 through 9. This process is often called spiritual ascension. Most of you have been through spiritual ascension one or more times in the past. A soul that ascends spiritually has satisfactorily completed its karma and is no longer bound to the wheel of reincarnation, but has chosen to discard the body rather than transform it into the silicon-based light form. The reason for this decision will vary. Often this choice is made if the soul is very old in the current body or has a very sickly body and feels it would be too much work to resurrect it sufficiently for ascension. If the soul has a strong belief that the body must grow old and die, or that it must leave the body in order to ascend, that belief can lead the soul to choose spiritual ascension rather than physical ascension. The Mass Ascension Dispensation Revisited. There are several divine dispensations described in Chapter 2 that have been granted, including one that allows souls to move directly into the ascension spiral without having to complete all of their karma, unfinished business, or incomplete energy transactions. It is possible now in this new dispensation for you to call back your soul fragments through the use of various processes, including the ones given by this channel and others, and thereby eliminate all karmic ties, karmic lessons, karmic imprints, and negative implants from your third density bodies. The current dispensation does not require you to clear 100% of your karmic issues or retrieve 100% of your fragments, just the majority of them. Most of you reading this are now moving into the ascension process. This channel has various methods and teachings designed to help activate and accelerate your ascension template. The ascension template, or master template, is a program built into your DNA that causes you to convert your mortal carbon-based body into an immortal silicon-based body in preparation for experiencing the fifth density realms of the Godhead's creation. The Godhead has methodically and periodically given dispensations to allow souls to progress more fully in their exploration of the infinite universe, and this is one of the current ones. We are reviewing these ideas as we feel it is necessary to provide a strong foundation for the material in Part 2. We know these are difficult and advanced topics, and if you do not feel you have fully grasped the material discussed so far, do not be overly concerned. Portions of our teachings will filter into your conscious mind, and you will recall many of the lessons at a later time and find them quite valuable on your journey. And you can also go back and replay these videos. The Master Template. So what exactly happens during Ascension? You have a program within you called the Master Template. The Master Template is an automated program similar to the one that turns the caterpillar into a butterfly. It is an implanted set of DNA codes and keys that get triggered at a certain point in a soul's evolution. Free will determines how long it takes for a soul to reach the point of triggering the Ascension template. Although the soul comes into a given lifetime with a blueprint or tentative timeline, for you, dear creators, this Ascension template has already been activated. most of you activated it much earlier in this present lifetime. You will find that a great majority of you who are therapists and healers, and most of those who come to you for healing, will have already activated the Ascension template. In the event that someone comes into the presence of this channel or any other person doing this type of work, and they have not yet activated their Ascension template, they will be given tools and techniques that will activate it. Being attracted to the channel or these healers is simply the method that such a soul has chosen as its catalyst for transformation. This channel has a series of Ascension activation meditations. During these meditations, your Ascension template is activated if it has not received prior activation. If it has been activated prior to using the meditations, your ascension will be accelerated and your path will become much easier. Plus, you will find that you have a greater level of clarity regarding your ascension process. In part 2, we will revisit the idea of timelines and describe in more depth the 3 dominant timelines most of you will be experiencing in the years to come on Earth, one of which is the Ascension. A brief discourse on the Merkaba vehicle of light. You have a matrix of etheric energy around your physical body that you currently call your aura and chakra system, or your subtle body. You have various tools and techniques designed to keep your subtle body free of negativity. These include acupressure, acupuncture, EMT, Reiki, reconnection, Ra Shiba, and various other processes. However, there is a force field of sacred geometric light keys and codes that is being programmed into your etheric body that will eventually render the need for subtle healing techniques obsolete, and that is the Merkaba vehicle of light. The Merkaba is a pattern of light keys and codes that not only provides psychic and spiritual protection, but eventually allows the crystal light body form to move through the vastness of time and space without the need for a spaceship. Like the master template for Ascension, the program for building the Merkaba is an automated series of DNA mutations built into the evolutionary structure of the human being. Your task, dear creators, is to simply provide the environment whereby the Merkaba can be activated and built efficiently. You do not need to alter, modify, or accelerate the codes or try to activate them prematurely. The Merkaba will become more pronounced and defined as you move through 5th density. At first, it will appear as a swirling pattern of geometries around the crystal light body. As it becomes more energized, it will manifest itself as a vehicle capable of keeping the light body safe from all manner of cosmic debris and effluvia. Other souls vibrating at 5th density and above can still enter your aura and interact with you energetically unless you choose to close your aura, in which case the Merkaba then acts as a force field or shield. We, the founders, caution you regarding the plethora of recent tools and techniques designed to help you build your Merkaba Some of them might be useful in helping you relax and visualize, but all of them are unnecessary. In part 2, we will explore the psychology of soul growth and many other facets of your personal development as an enlightened soul on earth. If you clear your psychological issues and release all of your fears, your Merkaba will be developed in perfect divine order without the need to accelerate the process. The mechanics of ascension. Let us review. What is ascension? Ascension is the process of moving from third through fourth to the fifth density consciousness. Your consciousness determines your experience. Your consciousness determines your vibratory state. Your consciousness determines what type of vehicle you will use in order to perceive life. Where you place your consciousness determines your experience of life. This, your metaphysicians have gotten very clearly. If you focus your attention in fifth density, that will become your dominant vibration. When you reach fifth density, your vibration will be such that the environmental contaminants of your world no longer influence your body. As you continue to move your consciousness into the more refined steps on the spiral of ascension, you will find that your form becomes more and more subtle, and eventually becomes invisible to third density humans. It will even become invisible to fourth density humans at some point. Some of you have asked the question, will we be able to see the founders as we move into the ascended state? Our form appears to this channel as brilliant blue-white stars, but our actual form does not exist in the sense that you think of existence. We are timeless and formless, and so this blue-white star image is a stepped-down version of what we look like. Our energy radiates throughout the cosmos. Our creative urge actually creates new universes within the omniverse or multiverse. It is very difficult to describe our world, for it is nothing like yours, and it is not necessary for you to know the details of what our world is like anyway. What is important is to give you an overview of Ascension, what it is and how it works, so that you may enjoy your own ascension process more completely. In Ascension, your vehicle of perception changes. The primary plane you occupy changes, and the energy you radiate changes. There is an etheric world superimposed on your third and fourth density Earth, which is the fifth density light body of Earth. When you go to this fifth density Earth, you must use your fifth density etheric light body as the vehicle for perceiving it. You can go there now within your mind in meditation, but you will not experience the fullness of the etheric Earth until you truly transcend the lower frequencies of being. Each one of you has within you the ability to live in the fifth dimension, in the fifth density body. You can all do that. The very fact that you are attracted to this book indicates that you have ascension as your focus. What does fifth density look like? Fifth density Earth looks very much like fourth density Earth, except there is an emanation, radiance, and shine to everything. There is no disease, There is no death. There is no aging. You are able to recreate your body to look eternally youthful, if that is what you desire. There is great love between beings in fifth density. There is no more competition or greed. There is no guilt or shame. There is simply a celebration of the diversity of light forms and the cooperation that is unspoken, for the language of light is telepathic. When you are in your fifth density light body, your primary focus will become how to educate and enlighten others and what to explore next in this infinite universe. Now let us talk a little bit more about the mechanics of ascension. Many of you have been experiencing what you call ascension symptoms. Your sleep patterns have changed. Some of you do not sleep through the night. You awaken in the middle of the night full of energy. Perhaps you have had strange maladies within your physical bodies that cannot be explained. You could feel tired a lot of the time or unusually energized. Some of you are receiving clairvoyant visions, and your psychic and spiritual senses are increasing daily. You might feel a lot of electricity running through your bodies. These are but a few of the ascension symptoms. You may become very emotional, one day clear and calm, and the next very moody. As you go through the process, your ascension template executes the automated program within your cells. It starts slowly at first and gradually picks up speed until there is no stopping it. By the year 2012, millions of you will have passed the point of no return. This is similar in concept, we believe, to what is called the T1 and T2 velocity points on the runway for an aircraft pilot. Once the pilot reaches the T2 velocity point on the runway, the plane must take off or crash. So all of you are taking off. All of you are moving into ascension. And it is important for you to understand that fighting or resisting anything in your life makes your ascension process a lot less joyful. Do not fight the darkness. Seek to learn from it. Shine your light into it. Expose it for what it is, a lot of nothingness. At your level of vibration, we have the power to completely end all of the discord in your world. But we would never do so, for it would deprive you of necessary soul experience. It would deprive you of your free will. What we are doing during these messages is activating and modifying your DNA to help you transition more easily into the next step of your evolution. As time goes along, you will feel more tangibly in your life the results of your ascension work. How do you acclimate to your new energy levels? What can you do about your odd sleeping hours? You can call forth from your waking state those guides and masters that are perfect and right to instruct you on how to handle the increasing energy during the middle of the night. It is largely because of your increased energy that you are waking up at odd hours. You have belief systems within your world that say you must make use of every minute of your time. Many of you do not believe it is productive to simply do nothing during your waking hours. Yet that may be precisely what you need to do. It might be difficult to honor your body's energy patterns if you have a regimented daily schedule, such as 9 to 5 day jobs. Do you best to honor your altered sleep cycles and ask your guides for assistance? Do your best to honor your altered sleep cycles and ask your guides for assistance. There is no substitute for awareness in detail. That means that whatever you are going through from the minute you wake up in the morning until the end of the day deserves your conscious awareness. You need to follow your consciousness closely to learn from it. It is difficult to learn when your mind has judged or already made up a story about what you are feeling. If you get out of bed in the morning and stub your toe on the bedpost, a part of you is tempted to say, "I'm off to a lousy start. I bet I'll have a lousy day." Do not allow yourselves that indulgence. Instead, remember that everything in life is inherently beautiful and that you will get exactly what you need out of each life experience based on your level of awareness. Sacred geometry and sacred symbols. We will now talk about how certain symbols affect the DNA of the physical body and contribute to the ascension process. We will go just briefly into the sacred geometry of your physical form. The physical body has an etheric double associated with it, which is the potential of your fifth density light body. Part of your etheric body interfaces with your third density body. You have what are called phase-shifted frequencies of yourself simultaneously embedded within this third density form. To put it another way, and your language is very limited in this regard, you have, as we mentioned earlier, the biological entity with its brain capacity and other mechanisms set up to keep you interfaced with fourth, fifth, sixth, and seventh densities. In your etheric body, which is your fifth density light body in potential because it has not been actualized yet on your planet, you have what are called blueprints and imprints. These are geometric configurations that govern the functioning of your third and fourth density bodies. When you embed symbols into the etheric body of your human self through the use of healing modalities such as Reiki, reconnection, or Ra Shiba, you are interacting with the imprints already governing your third and fourth density bodies. The energy patterns of the sacred geometries change the way your etheric body governs the outer form, your physical body. The sacred symbols of Reiki, reconnection, Ra Shiba, and other healing modalities generate geometric patterns that affect the template of the physical body and create a change in the rate at which the physical body metamorphoses from one level to another. Those symbols also create embedded images, memories, and impressions so that your physical and psychological levels of being will be triggered to remember certain aspects of your higher nature. Essentially, the symbols encode within your etheric body patterns of recognition of the higher levels of your being, as well as triggering the DNA configurations that assist you in your ascension process. So it is an encoding process. The same is true for other healing modalities. Your EMF, EMT, biokinetics, bioenergetics, and many other modalities are designed to trigger an awakening of certain parts of your brain, mind, and subtle etheric body so that you can more easily move into the remembrance of your higher levels of being. These triggers assist in making your ascension process more enjoyable, although the master template for the ascension is a pre-programmed set of instructions. To review, the master template is an automated program that tells your cells how to convert from carbon to silicon and things like that. It is a highly complex program. Just as you do not need to consciously beat your heart or process your food, you do not need to be concerned about the specifics of the master template. The master template cannot actually be modified significantly by any methods, but you can become more aware of it, and the ascension process can be made more enjoyable and efficient through the use of various healing techniques. The nature of DNA. The DNA is not only a record of your genealogical inheritance, meaning your mother, father, grandparents, great great grandparents, etc., but it is also a record of your soul's journey since the beginning of your individualization as a soul. Within what the scientists are calling the junk DNA is a record of your incarnations on Earth, your incarnations on other worlds, and your entire timeline as an individual soul. That would include a record of all interbreeding, including any interspecies activity, and a record of your Sirian, Orion, Draco, Andromedan, Arcturian, and Venusian DNA, as well as DNA from several other races. There is also a direct link to what you call the Akashic Records, which is a repository in the causal realms that stores data on souls that have incarnated in your galaxy. The 24-strand DNA model. Your DNA is composed of 24 strands or 12 pairs, double helixes. Each strand becomes activated as you evolve up the spiral of evolution into the higher densities. If you are, for example, at eighth density, you will have 8 pairs of DNA activated, 16 strands. All 8 pairs must be fully activated in order to fully experience 8th density. In order to experience 12th density, you need 24 strands of DNA activated, so all 12 pairs of your DNA must be functioning fully in order to experience 12th density. Even 12th density has a form, but it is not humanoid, and it is not a form that you would recognize. The highest level of the humanoid form is level 7. Levels 8 and 9 can somewhat resemble human form, but it is more of what you would call a composite or collection of different frequencies of form. It is not essentially a humanoid form. There are techniques on your planet designed to change and mutate your DNA strands and activate all 12 pairs. We will not give the detailed analysis of the effectiveness of the methods being taught on your world, as that would require more space than we have available in this book. As with any other investigation, you need to use discernment when exploring techniques for activating dormant DNA strands. Dear creators, the strands of DNA are either activated or they are not. If they are activated, you are creating a body that corresponds to the number of strands that are activated. For example, if you have 8 strands activated in 4 pairs or 4 double helixes, then you are actively manifesting a 4th density body. If you have 12 strands or 6 helix pairs, then you are actively manifesting a 6th density body. Your scientists are generally only able to measure 1 double helix and 1 for 3rd density. The others are phase shifted slightly to correspond to the frequencies necessary to activate the codes and keys for each level or density. There is a way to detect how many strands have been activated, which we will give at a later date. A few of your biologists have stumbled upon ways to measure additional strands, but their research has been suppressed and in some cases ridiculed by mainstream science. As stated above, you can reprogram your DNA to activate all 24 strands, 12 double helixes, even though you are in 3rd density, but you cannot take shortcuts. Every level of evolution has something to offer you. If you have come back from a very high level in order to serve Earth, you can quickly reactivate your now dormant strands, but it is still appropriate to reactivate your DNA strands in sequence. You are magnificent creators, created in the image and likeness of your supreme creator, and you are capable of doing everything in the universe. You are the children of the Creator growing up and leaving home, and therefore you have all the abilities and attributes of your Father, Mother, God. However, that does not mean you will be able to activate all of your strands instantly. There will still be a necessity to raise your vibration one density at a time until you are able to grasp the whole magnificence of your being. It is your divine will to experience the intricacies of creation, and to skip soul lessons in an impatient desire to get to level 12 will not serve you. That said, there are certain natural progressions in the lower densities that happen in a linear manner, while other events occur in sudden jumps or quantum shifts. This is a paradox in your universe because you have what are called gradually evolving shifts or gradations, whereby one becomes more aware sequentially and empirically, linearly. And you also have quantum shifts, where a vibration goes along at a certain level and then suddenly shifts to a higher level with no time lapse in between. Both of these factors occur during various stages of your evolution. Your scientists call the sudden jumps mutations. There is no randomness in the universe, but there is a very obscure sequence in many events, one that you would not normally recognize at your level of vibration. The quantum jumps have a divine perfection and divine timing to them, even when they appear contrary to existing laws and principles. Quantum shifts are analogous to the behavior of orbital electrons in an atom. You will find that the energetic state of a particular element is stable within a certain domain or spectrum, and when that state exceeds a certain level of vibration, the electron will jump into another orbit, changing the atomic structure of the substance. We do not have time to go into nuclear physics, but we will briefly visit a few related topics before concluding part 1 of this book. And when we return, my friends, we will pick it up at cloning and holographic projection. We leave you in the love and the light of the infinite Creator. Until next time.